come to my house on this shit, if they do, which I think that they are going to because it's part of one of the trolls that I said, like, if they go to my house on some fuck shit talking about I tried to put in some sort of restraining order or something on my ex, which I did basically, and I tried to say that, if the judge wanted to give me some sort of restraining order or some shit like that, he could even, if that is what he felt like was necessary, so long as she gets one, because she's was involved in murdering my dogs, and she was involved with people, in the whole scenario with my neighbors and everything of murdering my dogs and shit. So the cops too. So I've been helping Trump and all this other shit because they were investigating me because they all had people on me, essentially, trying to look into everything about me and my psyche. I do bits and I do trolls, regardless of whatever someone says or anything about any of that. The bits and the trolls and everything associated with stuff that I do. I mean, all the trolls and everything associated with what I do is, which it's all trolling in a way. It's supposed to get a reaction out of you, or whether good or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like, define what you want to define as troll, but on some level all I do is I'm talking head artistry troll type of thing. So regardless if somebody does anything like that, which they've been doing crazy stuff in public about this type of shit, like even the fires and everything, yada yada yada, but the point is I'm a troll. I have no real mental health background, nothing like that. I did take spice a long time ago. That was it. Anything else, I've never done any other drugs, and I've been fine ever since. I haven't been on any sort of medication for like over 10 years. So, and I've been living on my own, maintaining my own dogs, working. I'm perfectly fine. I'm not really disabled, even though I do get some help from the government, because when I was Baker acted, when I was on K2, they had tried to, give me some sort of disability type of shit, but I'm not disabled. So I'm looking to get off of the government dime for that. But my parents have been trying to make me look like I'm some sort of disabled because they want to not have to pay me and help me as much. And they have been trying to sabotage me and my life with my own family and everything else for years, and yada, yada, yada. I could pass any sort of comprehensive test cognitively. I have an extremely high IQ, over 200. I'm really going, I think, to be able to easily break 200, if that makes sense, like way over. I've been in college since I was 16. I've done powerlifting. Like, I'm already able to hit the third all-time highest squat at 165 if I cut down to that weight. I'm hitting it at 150 pounds overweight. I pretty much could hit it. So, if I lost 50 pounds especially, I just need to use a belt. So, at the end of the day, that's just kind of the way it is. I think that, with this whole situation with all of them, it's pretty ridiculous. But the cops, that they come here, essentially, is they're gonna try to like be like, oh, it took so long for us to put in this restraining order shit, and we contacted her or something, and she's saying whatever, and then they granted the restraining order on you because of some sort of evidence type thing, and nobody talked to me or something like that. But that would be illegal because you would have to like come and talk to me, or there would have to be some sort of trial. You know what I mean? Before, so it makes no really sense. Now, if the neighbor tries to get some sort of restraining order, and says that I have to show up to court for some type of shit, then I will. At the end of the day, this bitch has been a problem, and she won't leave me alone, and she just essentially like has been an issue for me for so long. So there's really nothing that cops can do to me at the end of the day, because like it wouldn't be illegal. I'd have to either go, and speak my case in court, and you know what I mean, that kind of thing, or something like that. At the end of the day, which I will when I set up some cameras and all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, this type of shit is why, you know what I'm saying, like it's a big deal with this stuff. And it's crazy because like I can't even like leave my house because she's been killing my dogs. So it's like I haven't been able to like leave my house, and Right now my truck is a little bit messed up. I have to put it in the shop, but ultimately it's been a really serious problem with this, and I can't even leave, until I get my truck fixed and whatever. And I'm not going to, like, I don't want to leave my house at all because they're going to try to kill my dogs again. And that's what she's trying to act like she's going to do, is she's acts like she's going to take me to court and get me to leave my property. And then I'm worried that some people with masks or something are going to come on my property and kill all of my dogs, because she's been threatening to do that to me. And I have evidence of that, that she's threatened to get me essentially when I'm off my property and all this other stuff. And she won't leave me alone, and she's giving me verbal threats essentially consistently that she won't leave me alone. And she won't leave me alone. My mom is in cahoots with her because of stuff that I said about my mom, and she was in cahoots with her to kill one of my dogs. And this is something I'm going to have to prove with the polygraph test, and I will, and I'm going to do it as soon as possible. But I won't be able to even use that per se in court, but I'd be able to use it for trauma and to explain how it's involved with trauma, and the stuff that I went through, and the jury will see that, and because it involves trauma, you know what I mean. You're gonna have to allow for that, and the judge will just have to say that disregard anything regarding that. So you'd have to say that I'm trying to swing it, in my favor. And it's not scientifically proven, but I'll say that even if it's not scientifically proven, you have to put it in court, essentially, and show that that's what the trauma I went through is. That I was going through even doing polygraph tests, and that's all involved. And at the end of the day, DeSantis has already been trying to shut me up because of cases involving mental health and stuff from before, because they essentially bullied me and set me up in different ways, and I'd be able to prove that with the polygraph test, that they've been following me around town and doing other things. And I'm going to post it up on my channel, and they'll have to sit there and try to trust me essentially after I help Trump. They're going to have to try to trust me, from not go and sue, which I won't. I don't care too much about doing all of that. I'd rather do it on my own and work my way up on my own, and I'm hoping that they still, the people investigating me, the cops and whoever, help me get to where I want to be on my own. But the point is that the point is that you should have never been doing this shit, and you deserve to be sued. Your department shouldn't have been doing this. He's involved. He's known about probably this for a long, long time, that they have been harassing me. And even if he didn't, he's going to be the one that gets the main slap in the face. And he's very weaselly and corrupt. I've been trying to help him with some laws, and with Trump's whole game plan. And everyone knows it's been me. If you see on my channel, like I have, that thing that says Trump's greatest editor, I have enough evidence to be able to put anybody away at this point, including my neighbor. I don't want to deal with her. I just want her to move. Okay? And I'm just stating this as now because she keeps trying to press me, and she's not going to get anywhere, because if I show this to a judge, they're going to need proof and everything else, and I'll have to sit there and provide, stuff like that proof-wise for that. But at the end of the day, I have enough proof to sue. So even if they make a ruling on it, I still will be able to sue, because it's nonetheless none of this evidence was shown in court and everything. And if I'm saying, if I don't make it there, but I'll be able to make it there, and I'll be able to leave my house, and I will if it's gonna show. But if any of my dogs die, and I'm gonna basically just go and try to sue DeSantis then and make it a big deal. So I'm playing on the fact that they're not going to try to grant her anything, but the Democratic side of this country is going to basically try to screw shit up, and because they're going in, against me and what I've been saying and stuff like that, and they'll try to get her, to be able to put it through for a restraining order to make me look bad and shit like that. But it's going to be bad because they're not going to be able to do any of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to sue her, and I'll be able to put her in jail for the things that she did. I have enough evidence to support that. She's going to have to lie and say that she saw some people doing it, that were in masks or whatever, doing that type of shit. And she won't be able to take a polygraph test if she's the one that really did it, because either way she's in cahoots to do it. Like, I didn't physically see her do it, but I know based on how she's acting and the way that she's saying things and the fact that she's basically said that she's done it, and with her facial expressions and everything, like, she is trying to make it to where, like, I look like I'm crazy, and they would always harass me and come by my house and do all this shit to try to get me out of the neighborhood. They don't understand that a polygraph test, it is admissible in court for trauma. So I will be able to sue her, and she just doesn't understand that. Like, so she's going to have to leave, and then Trump is going to send someone in to essentially, or someone's going to buy the house. I'm pretty sure Trump is trying to get someone to come in and watch over me because I've been helping him. But it's like, I haven't been doing anything. Like, they're trying to get me for dogfighting, but I haven't been. I'm just like Cesar Millan. I haven't done anything, with any of my dogs, and just in general. And so, like, they'll try to investigate. They won't find anything because there's nothing to find, and they know that. They've seen my channel enough that they know that. They're just trying to act like whatever, you know what I'm trying to say? And they'll just say, like, yeah, just go watch it and just to see if I'm doing something. And then it's just going to make my channel soar up, like it's been doing better and everything. So, it's just like the whole kind of thing with that. I think it's really wild. This whole situation is really wild. Like, as someone who's a known comedian and troll, it's really wild that, like, all this is happening. I'm on the upskirts of my channel and everything, and of my dog ownership and everything, and I play along with it. I'm a really good actor. Like, I even went to an art school for it, and I went to Auburn for zoology, even though I didn't go for like more than like a week. I didn't even take a class. I was enrolled, but I didn't like take a class or whatever. But the point is, I got into the school to be a zoologist. I just didn't have any money, and I decided not to go because there's just really no way to do it. And just stuff like that, and I didn't want to move to Alabama, just and everything, and yada yada yada. But the point being is that I'm a wild person, and I can sit here in court and be able to say this, and she's hearing me right now because they're listening to my microphone and everything. Like, they hacked my phone because my ex thought I cheated on her and I was saying wild stuff, and so she had Will and people that she's friends with keep an eye on me. And I'm pretty sure that they had her come in and try to date me to get to know me, because there was a lot of stuff going around about me being some sort of dog fighter and some sort of hater of gay people and all this other type of stuff. And they've been working to try to, like, get information on me and all this other shit about what I'm doing and yada yada yada. And it's just like, they're afraid that I'll be able to get them in court. Like, I almost believe, like, the whole relationship with Holly was in some way a setup, because right now they're having someone date me who is like giving them information about me, and she's acting like I don't know that. Even though we both know that that's what she's doing, and they're trying to make it seem like whatever. And it's pretty wild how much, like, government and especially like the CIA will try to do all this stuff. But this is why I need this polygraph test, and you're not going to necessarily believe what I'm saying, but you can see in my face I'm not lying. Like, when I get this polygraph test, okay, you're gonna all understand what I'm trying to say. And, like, you'll sit there and be like, what is he talking about? He's got to be, like, deluded or something, right? Well, if I do the polygraph test, that'll prove that I'm not deluded, right? And there's no way to really, like, corrupt a polygraph test that I'm aware of. Okay, so then you would have to admit that I'm extremely genius, right? And so just saying that's a little bit genius, so then you have some suspicion. But at the end of the day, you would have to show that I corrupted that test, and I don't know how to corrupt a test at the moment. I don't even know much about polygraph tests. Now, I could probably figure it out, but I don't really know. So I've specifically stayed away from that, so you can see how my face looks, and that I'm not really budging on shit with my face. And this is how I'm going to talk to the polygraph test and essentially score perfectly fine 100%. And I'm trying to get one that's like a do it yourself, so I don't have to have other people involved. I tried to get a polygraph test. These motherfuckers knew about the shit that was going on when I did the polygraph test, or tried to do the polygraph test with the cop that's a retired cop, like, around this area. And they set it up to where he said certain things so that I knew it was a cue that he was involved. And they were trying to get me not to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, he could. They're trying to scare me because I don't know much about it, and and they're trying to make it to where like we might corrupt it and make you look bad. You see what I'm trying to say? And then there's evidence against it because they could always go and find out if anybody nearby has done a polygraph test and it's corrupted. You see what I'm trying to say? Like if I did a polygraph test nearby and it's for like a case, they might be able to pull that. You know what I mean? And like legally, and it's like, how would they know that? You know what I mean? But no one, that could just be an idea that some lawyer had that was like a defense or an attorney to prosecute, and it's like this whole big thing. So I'm trying to like get it to where I can get this shit done and not be fucking framed and everything because they don't want me suing for hundreds of millions of dollars in the state of Florida. I'm talking hundreds of million I could win for. Hundreds of million, not just a little bit of stuff. I'm talking hundreds of millions of dollars. They have had multiple people from departments harassing me over long periods of time and just doing shit to me all the time. I remember I said something about Grady Judd, I think it was, or something like that. Like when I think it was Grady Judd that I was doing I was going to be a security guard and Grady Judd was there speaking. And it was like this whole big thing, and they knew that they were looking at me, and they knew about me, and they were trying to like give me cues that they knew. And it's like I was saying some wild shit about cops and I think about him, and then all of a sudden they got me for speeding. And there was this guy that had like this dark face mask on, that I was speeding with on a motorcycle, and the cop didn't go after him who went by. They went after me who stopped after like a couple seconds, just a quick little street race for like a couple seconds. I slowed down, and then we went like all the way around Barris and all the way down to fucking Bruceby Downs, like from where the BMW dealer is at. Right? And so this is like a whole long ways before the cop even went after me. And I didn't know he was even behind me. And he said that I ran some stoplight or something. I barely ran a stoplight. Like it was like I slightly went by because I was trying to slow down and calm my hands. And I was a little tired after hitting it real fast. So I just let it like kind of coast, and there was nobody really around. And I was slowing down and everything was fine. And he tried to pick me up. But he knew where I was and everything. It was like a cop perfectly at a certain spot when this motorcycle comes up. And nobody will understand that this is a setup because they knew I was leaving this party and everything because of stuff that I was saying. And they have been in my phone for the longest. And they were in my phone because I had been doing terroristic threats and all this other shit and saying wild stuff on Facebook. And I was a troll. And it's like this whole big ordeal that I'd have to prove with the polygraph test. And, I can prove that shit unless like some people just look crazy as hell. You know what I mean? Like unless they just like show their face like in certain ways. You know what I mean? Like to fuck with people, which, I'm a troll too. But that's not the case though. Most people don't do that unless they're making a tell that's a joke. You know what I mean? And so that's the differential here is that I usually make a tell with my face. And I've even had said that like, with the whole thing with voice stuff, they're probably just recording my voice because my face would have the tells on it, and that's how I kind of know the CIA is doing some fuck shit with this whole situation because they're helping Trump, and like Sean Ryan, Andrew Bustamante, all of these people know who I am, and I'm gonna start posting this type of stuff on their comments in their channel section to piss them off because we've been hazing each other, and this whole thing going on with beef between me and Joe Rogan and all them because I've been helping them, but they also are trying to make me look like a bad person for saying the jokes that I've said, and all this other garbage, because they were involved, with stuff. And Alex Jones with the whole Jamie thing, Jamie's fine, or at least he was fine until maybe after somebody else killed him, because at the end of the day, like this whole video thing that they did was based on, Jamie did at least, was based on the stuff that I said as a joke, and it was trying to say like everything will be fine about your history and your past and yada yada, and it was like he was trying to tell me with his face he knew about it, what I said, and that he's gonna go live somewhere else, with the CIA type of thing, because they're trying to keep people safe from me and put me, put people, Homeland Security type of thing, like move them around essentially because of stuff that I said, yada yada yada. And it's like this whole big thing, and they're trying to fuck me. But at the end of the day, bro, they're not gonna be able to do anything because they're in my phone, and they're gonna try to say that like I knew and all this other stuff, about, somebody being in my phone and all this other shit, you know what I'm saying? So the stuff I was saying, I knew I was organizing the left and all these other people involved. It doesn't matter. I'm in my own property at my own house and somebody hacked my shit. And we all know that it was the government, it was the police and everybody else. So all I have to do is take a polygraph test, and they know that. So when I get this polygraph test, even if it's not admissible in court, okay, everyone's going to know what the fuck the deal is, and it's going to be on YouTube. They're not going to take this shit down. So you're going to look like you did it, and it's not really going to be a conspiracy because everyone's going to believe the polygraph test. You know what I mean? I would have to be a fucking circus genius to be able to like somehow rig that shit. So either way, you're going to make me look like the shit that I've always said for years, that I'm a genius, because I am. I probably have like well over a 200 IQ. I've never taken the IQ test like that, but it's like I can do and understand IQ tests enough to know what my score would be, kind of thing. So it's like I don't think people understand, like, I'm very smart, and I've been single-handedly beating the left with the helping Trump out. And if you heard my dogs, it's probably because this bitch is going to coordinate and drive by my house soon, because as I'm talking, let's just see if somebody drives by my house. But as I say stuff, okay, and talk, they coordinate in a certain way outside my house. They'll drive by and do shit when I'm saying stuff. Okay, well, at least they're not doing it this time. But I don't know what they're barking at out there. But they do it all the time. They will drive by my fucking house, and like because they're hearing me in my phone. It's like some app that they installed because I've been saying stuff and whatever. And they've always been in my phone with like the FBI and all this other shit. So it's like I wouldn't be surprised how much they actually coordinated versus the phone app shit that they installed and all this other garbage. You know what I mean? So either way though, with this phone type of deal, if I lose the phone and throw it away, you see what I'm trying to say? Like that kind of thing, like they'll, I'm not going to let them have this phone probably because they'll try to frame it and say that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I could always, like if it was like an evidence thing, like in this whole investigation, blah, 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 but they would have to come at me and try to show that it's been some type of investigation. So I would get famous and it would shut down Trump and all this other type of shit. So the funny thing, is, as a possibility at least, because they would investigate it, everything with the election, and just like people would understand that it was me who did it, and they don't want to give me any clout, you know what I mean, because they know I'll win and they know I don't like the CIA. But I do actually like the CIA, as long as they're doing the right shit, and they're going to be like, well, you won't like what they do and all this other stuff is like kind of, but I will like what they do if it's for good purposes. I've already said that. I'm not that mad. I'm just saying stuff as a troll. And I'm not even that mad about my dogs, I'm just saying stuff as long as they leave the main ones alone, I'm not that mad. But like, as long as like they give me some respect and like say the truth, about it, then I'll be fine. And then after that, we can be, as covert as possible. And I would love doing stuff with the CIA. And I know that they're going to listen to this because they have an investigator constantly watching my shit, trying to make me look like I'm some sort of way. So at the end of the day, I have free speech and I can say it on my channel, especially if it's on my private property, all this type of stuff. You're not going to be able to do anything to me. Like, I haven't done anything. I don't even know, like, of the people who started to be involved in this whole sort of thing, like where they're like burning Cali down and all this other shit, based on trolls that I said, they the South Carolina thing, and like with the fires, that was a troll that I said, the DEI, airplane stuff was a troll. I did trolls about Tim Kennedy's friends to blow up the some shit like Louisiana stuff and everything else, and like the like when I said stuff about have the American essentially the American guy that's a soldier, who's not like or the European looking guy is a soldier and more like American that's one of Timmy's friends, or like the special ops dude who was in the Tesla, you know what I mean? Like that's all shit that I said that was trolls. And and people ended up doing it because they have been listening to stuff I've been saying in my phone. So it's like this whole big ordeal, and CIA is probably laughing right now because I'm snitching, and they just don't want because they think I'm thinking that the CIA runs this country, and that's what they're trying to scare me away from. You know what I mean? So it's like they think that like that I think that like they recruit the presidents and all this other shit. You know what I mean? But I know that like either way, just based off of, even if that was the case, just based off of popularity, I'd be able to have times that I could set up running this whole thing in order to be a politician at some point and a president. I'll be able to do it, and they know that, and so they're trying to, kind of like, you know what I mean? Because you can't deny that kind of thing. Now, if the left starts to do all these other rallies and shit, and everybody and it comes out, and it's always like a lot of crowds, it's gonna look hard, for them or Trump. And even if I ran as something else, or if I ran, with them and their parties, I'm going to be competing against that, and that might be the new status quo thing going forward. So it's going to be like this whole, menagerie of tactics and shit, But at the end of the day, Alex Jones is a prime example of like the shit that these people do. And he's true a lot of time. Well, with me, I don't like to say things that aren't real, and this will all be looked at as true. But like, if you're gonna ever say that someone's wild about the CIA and this, like the tactics and the stuff that happens in this country, just look at Alex Jones. Took tons of millions of dollars away from him, and he still has been proven right. And this is the type of stuff that's happening. And I've been helping Alex Jones, setting him up for the win, so that when I get in there, and Joey Diaz too. That's why he's been doing his little thing with Joe Rogan lately, because I'm setting it up for them to win so that I can come in and win. And they're gonna try to downplay me and downgrade because they know right now I'm the hottest comedian. Like, if you all knew what was going on, and this viral thing has been going around, everybody knows why people are doing all this stuff in coordinates with the trolls that I say. The people on the news who are doing the weird faces and stuff like that, they're trying to, and this is why it's funny, because they're, the CIA will be like, oh, he's just great, but like, because they're hazing me. But the point is that, like, anybody that you see on the news, when they look like they're about to start laughing and they're doing like head movements and they do like the weird twitching of their eyes, and JFK's looking like some sort of weird, it's because of the trolls that I'm doing and the jokes that's been going on. Like, and when I do this polygraph test, everyone's gonna, like be exposed essentially. And Hollywood, they're gonna have to trust me. I'm not gonna sue anybody so long as I get rich off of this and I can do some podcast shit, make some money. I do it on my own. That's perfectly fine. I'm gonna get in there like swimwear, and everybody already knows that. But they're gonna have to try to say, oh, he could just polygraphs lie, or he could just make it some type of way, when in reality that's not really that true. Like, you're not just going to be able to fake that. So like, this would be so astronomical to be able to fake. Like, just all this alone is going to be so astronomical that to be able to fake, like, that it's ridiculous. And I just don't think people understand. Like, you have no options. I think that they do understand now, because they do, and they're going to try to, like, play with it and stuff. So they're just trying to make me look bad now that they know they have no other options and realistic ideology. They were just trying to play on me not doing it. But it's like this whole big hazing thing and stopping me from being the great, comedian and president that I want to be, and all this other stuff. Even Cam Newton, when his eyes got big when he was talking to what's his face from Kang, from, like, they're all talking about concepts that I've been talking about, because I've been talking to the left indirectly and all this other shit. And he's like big-eyed because I said, while he's talking, like, I had said essentially that I am going to be the world's most athletic person. Like, if I beat people pound for pound all time strength-wise, and I can run under a 5-second 40-yard dash and run hundreds of miles in a day, you know what I mean? Which I used to be able to do that other stuff, except for the powerlifting. I haven't really done the powerlifting as much, but I could do that, and I've been proving that. And it's like, I'm gonna be able to jump 40 inches probably. I think I can make over 40 inches. I used to dunk, so it's like, and I'm like 5'10" without shoes. So I'll be able to be looked at as the most athletic person in general. And this whole thing with, the Hitler thing and the fucking, all this stuff, like, we're on the good version of Hitler, and I was calling out China, and they were showing China videos and stuff, and I was bulldogging them and shit, and that's why they're all mad, and like, they're talking about taking Taiwan, and this whole, like, with the they're talking about by 2026 or 27 they're gonna take it, and all. It's all these jokes that I've been doing and stuff, and I've been setting up politically the right and trying to, you know what I mean, and get them to do right. And it's like, I've been doing all this. I even got Elon to do the freaking Hitler salute, because it's really not a Hitler salute, it's a Roman salute. So, just stuff like that. So I'm getting there, and I'm trying to, like, be cool about it. But I need this polygraph test for the people who want to be naysayers, even though everybody knows. So it's funny as fuck, and it's like a fun little thing that I'm doing, and we're all doing as a little joke. They should just start talking about it because it would make me feel better about being cool with everybody, and I want to try to help. I want to try to give people lots of money and be like, to where I'm like giving most of my money away, or at least 50-50. I was even saying like 99%. It would be really cool if I could make so much money to where I could do that. And yeah, I want to go from there. Like right now, the Viola Davis and her husband Hot Ones and all the other ones with Slipknot and those are all my ideas. Why do you think that they had the pinata? You know what I mean? Remember the pinata? Like, that was my idea. Like, the reason why they're talking about lizards is because of the thing that I said outside of my house with the mailbox. Okay, I was talking about a lizard that was on my mailbox. Okay, like I have so much stuff that I can say, and I'm gonna go through on polygraph tests to be funny on my channel, and then I'm gonna start doing like some stand up. I'm gonna go break some of those records and stuff, and get my dogs in Guinness and this whole big ordeal, which is fine. You know what I mean? Because I want Trump to be in there. I don't mind him being in there. I got shit to do, so he can go run for a third, maybe even fourth term. At that point, I won't even be able to win. Okay, because he's going to be like the one who's looked at as whatever, you know what I mean? And like, because he got it done, and he already knows how I think already, you know what I mean? So it's going to be based on how he does responding to that. But if it's been running good, you know what I mean? Even if I say the stuff I've said and got it to where we were doing it right and everything is going fine with trade, he'll be able to be in there probably. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even if I did run or whatever, but I'm not going to run. You know what I'm trying to say? If he's thinking I'm going to run, you know what I mean? So he needs to like calm down is what I'm saying. Like, you don't have anything to worry about. Regardless if I say this or that or take credit for stuff, it doesn't really matter. Like, you're still going to be looked at as the president who got it done. So, he needs to really think about that. And everybody knows already the stuff I've been, and it's just like this. I don't mind helping him out. He did do the groundwork and got the shit done. So, and Elon, basically did the efficiency of it. I was the ideas guy, he did the ground stuff, and Elon did the efficiency. So, people need to understand that when this polygraph comes out, I don't want to hear your problems, because polygraphs are like really, really fucking useful 90-something% of the time. So,